So guess what? We have yet another room to defend while we wait for something to happen. But this one is probably the hardest one of the whole mission, where we have to defend against these snipers and other enemies that come in while not having very much cover here. So I just kind of like to stand behind this one little pillar section here and wait for the guys to come into my line of fire. Now the other two guys will come over here and operate these turrets, and we could do that too if we wanted to, but I think it's much too risky, and we're definitely like right in front of the line of fire and everything, so I don't really like to do that. I like to stay back here where we're more well protected. But these overshield guys are pretty annoying right here. They're pretty much the only really annoying part about this encounter. We don't get any really heavy enemies. But we don't. The enemies will just keep coming, so we have to wait for the plasma thing here to overload. So eventually it'll say 100%, and that's how you know you're close. But it'll have to go over 100%, and when it says 110%, then you know you'll be done. But the photon burst rifle's still doing the job as usual. The extra scrap maker not doing very good though. I probably should have kept on the Nora instead of picking this up. But I suppose it is doing alright at dropping these guys over shields. They just have to get close enough.
Plasma level at 110%. 110%? Goes that high? No, that's the point!
Okay, so after you've heard that, now you know it's time to go. And we'll get this cutscene here, and hopefully, I'm not sure what triggers it, but there's actually a cutscene where you die here. I'm not sure how that happens, but it's weird. Or maybe it's just my game glitching up and I died during the cutscene or something stupid like that. Anyway, the beam has finally been shut down, so we can now fly to the source of it and figure out what's going on over there. We can just sort of follow the trail of destruction through the base over here. As we're flying through this area, there'll be some mines that have these random spikes on them that they'll shoot out at us that will explode in midair as well. So they can be a little tricky to dodge, but since they go in a very predictable path, they're you can sort of just keep your distance from them.
Autobots, full thrusters. We need to find a way into that gun. We'll blow it up from the inside. Now you're talking, Silverbolt.
I think you can destroy them, but it's really not worth it if you can just avoid them. Anyway, over here there's a heavily fortified area here with a couple of turrets and some other enemies, including some Seekers. So the first thing I want to do is come over here and get this guy out of this turret over here, and then maybe we can start working on the Seekers now. Very importantly, there's an overshield over here. I went and grabbed that while still in vehicle mode, so I could have that while fighting these guys, because I was running low on health anyway, so I really needed it. And then the second guy on the turret can't really hit you from back here, but we do want to take him out eventually, but really these Seekers over here are the real pain right now. I suppose there's 3 turrets over here. I thought there was only 2. Now, you might be tempted to go and rip the turret off of the tripod right now and use it on these cloakers that are going to come up from the elevator here, and that might be a good idea if you can get a shot on them while they're all still in the elevator. You can probably blow them all away at once, but obviously I was not quick enough for that, so I just decided to float around here as the jet and shoot rockets at them. That's another good way to go, as usual, because of the splash damage. And there's only a handful of them, then they just mainly serve as a minor distraction here. So now we can head down the elevator ourselves.
It's opening.
Or rather, head up the elevator.
Trypticon. The Autobots are keeping the rest of their transports grounded. Take
I didn't really do a whole lot other than open this door.
Destroy Iacon City.
Well, there it is, the Decepticon orbital base city type place. The giant cannon, otherwise known as Trypticon.
Just talk?
Yes, Trypticon is in this game.
Iacon, Autobots, there at the energy conduit.
He's not much of a city anymore, so much as he is a giant orbital beam cannon thingy. A satellite cannon if you prefer, but... yeah, he's still pretty big though.
We'll disable it ASAP.
In fact, he might be even bigger than he was in the original show.
There's got to be some kind of weak point.
Although his scale doesn't exactly remain the same in both the original show and in this game from one mode to the other. Anyway, as we fly into this area, which is now inside of Trypticon, there's some little channels we can go through here. They'll have ammo and other stuff beneath them. There's also an overshield back there, but I decided I would wait to get that until after I've used up my current overshield, which I then lost within the next 5 seconds. So a lot of good that did me. And there's some snipers in this area. We're going to go ahead and take them out first. And then we're going to deal with this nasty encounter with a couple of brutes and the 2 destroyers. This is the time in the game where I said we'd be fighting the 2 destroyers at once. And it is a pretty nasty encounter, and it will take us a very long time to get through. But obviously, first things first, we got to take out these brutes because they are easier to kill, and they're also a little bit more attentive and realize where we are a little bit sooner. Well, the nice thing about being able to play as these airborne characters in this mission is we have a lot of places we can go to sort of flank the destroyers and try to hit them from behind. And it never really works all that well, but it's worth a try anyway. And we have a lot of places we can go to avoid their attacks, because a lot of their attacks, as you probably know at this point, are extremely dangerous and will kill us very quickly. So if we sort of duck down beneath the those canals down there to get away from their attacks and then come up on the other side of them, then there's always that. Or we can just fly completely to the other side on this mirrored side of the room here, where another area like this is, where it has more ammo weapons over there. We pretty much are good with the weapons we have right now, although the X12 Scrapmaker is still not doing a very good job at range because it scatters quite a bit. But there's not really any heavy weapons in here though. Like there's that one magma frag launcher in this room, but I really don't think we'd be able to get the grenade that far over there to actually do any damage to these guys, because we definitely don't want to get much closer than this. So I guess as usual, photon burst rifle is going to be what we're going with. And like I said, I would have still preferred to have had the null ray at this point, but you make your choices and you live with them. But I decided I would come down here and maybe go for that overshield now. And like I said, there's plenty of places to go and retreat down here if you need to get away from their attacks, but mainly you're just using it to sort of go around the back of them and hit them from behind, because that's the only place where you can really do damage to them in their tank mode. You can have an easier time damaging them once they've transformed, so I guess your first priority would be getting them both to transform. And your other AI allies will kind of just do whatever they want. They're not really going to be all that useful right here. Try to take out that brute right now. And this is really the part where the mission gets really tedious, and it's not like you could just sort of, you know, bum rush them and take them both out really quickly on lower difficulties. I mean, they'll still annihilate you, so this will still take you a very long time to get through. So this is one thing I kind of don't like about this mission, is that it has occasional tedious encounters like this. But I guess that's one thing I don't like about the game in general, is that some encounters just feel like they have way too many enemies. But I mean, this game does need a really tough encounter where you fight 2 really big enemies at once. Because a lot of games have that. There I go, wasting my overshield again and getting hit. We almost have this guy transformed though. There he goes. I just wish this encounter was a little more enjoyable, that's all. And of course he's looking at us from the front, so we can't really do any damage to his armor yet. Making use of that force field as best I can. The shockwave ability is going to be nearly useless at this point, because obviously we'd have to get up close to any of the enemies to use it on them, and it won't really do that much damage anyway. But this is an interesting area over here you can come to and sort of get away from both of them at the same time and still be in range to shoot them, but you don't really have much cover over here. As you can see, there was a pillar over there that just got completely blown away by his tank cannon. There we go, getting a few good shots on him. I originally tried for this mission to just sort of float around them in vehicle mode and try to hit them from behind, but you're just not fast enough to compensate for the fact that they can turn around really quickly despite their size. Now here we go, finally got this guy's armor off because he was busy focusing on the other two guys who were, I guess, doing a good job of honestly distracting both of them at the same time. There we go, finally killed one. And that's going to make taking out the second one that much easier because we have all this room to maneuver and we only have to worry about one enemy now. And he has to worry about 3, so chances are we'll be able to distract him a lot better. I haven't been using the levels as much as I thought I would be going into those canals, but I stated their uses, so whatever. Looks like there's random destructible objects on the walls there of this area, like in the entryways there. Looks like all but one of them has been blown off at this point of the wall. It looks like they do damage to you if you hit them. I have no idea what that's all about. Okay, so after that long and tedious battle, we finally defeated them. And there was no rays over here the entire time. Silly me. I did not notice those at all. That would have been really nice to know sooner. But anyway, now that we've dealt with that, now we can go deal with Trypticon. With all this urgency of, oh, he's going to blow up the Autobot city, you would think that they wouldn't have such a long encounter like that. They would give us some kind of time limit or something. But no. And much like Megatron in Dark of the Moon, Trypticon apparently has parasites in him. Lovely. Robotic parasites, for that matter. And obviously these obstacles will kill you if you don't get through them quickly enough. But there's a lot of obstacles like that when you're flying around in jet mode, so I figured you'd be used to it by now. Such as like here with the random lasers. Again, I don't know what anatomical purpose this serves for Trypticon's city battle station laser thingy mode, but they're just there anyway. So now we've gotten to the center of whatever this thing really is. There's Trypticon's, as they call it, conversion cog, which I'm assuming is their plot device that would allow him to transform. And by damaging it, we are going to force him to transform into his robot mode, or his, I guess, dinosaur mode, you could say. Because as we know, Trypticon is not really a humanoid robot, but he's like a dinosaur-type robot. But that's beside the point. I've never heard of such a thing existing in Transformers previous to this. It's just sort of there as a plot device, like I said, to get it to where we can somehow stop him now, so he doesn't destroy Icon. And yet we can still fight him as a boss battle in the next mission. But, yeah, basically all we have to do here is shoot off all the auto turrets on this thing. And then there'll be another wave of auto turrets that will appear afterwards, after the layers of armor have been stripped off. So basically all we have to do is shoot auto turrets, which is the last thing I'm sure we want to do at this point in the game. We're so sick of it by now. But, we have to do it anyway. I was running really low on health there, so I decided to conveniently hide behind this conveniently placed Decepticon logo thingy and recharge my health before taking out the last two. And then we can be done with this nonsense. There we go, the conversion cog, as it's called, has now been exposed. Now we can blast it with our rockets. And we can now get the hell out of here, because he's now going to transform, and his giant cannon thingy is going to turn into a giant head with teeth. Oh boy. Yes, I know it's preposterous and ridiculous, but I must say, Trypticon looks pretty awesome in this game. So now it's time for I guess a mini-boss against Trypticon, as we are descending to the surface of Cybertron, and he is falling quite rapidly due to his immense mass and the gravity pulling him down. So we now have to basically shoot at his thrusters on his back while he is falling, and they will be damaged quite quickly. In fact, I don't think we'll actually have to worry about killing it all the way. But he also has he has a beam that shoots out of his mouth where his cannon used to be, which for some reason can't kill us instantly, even though it could apparently destroy an entire city. And he also has homing missiles that he will occasionally launch. And despite him swiping his claw like that for probably a good 1,000 feet because of how big he is, it doesn't hit us at all. But again, when he turns around, we have to shoot at the city, we have to shoot him in the back again, and then he'll turn back around. It's not really much of a battle, because it's pretty hard for you to actually die unless he hits you with the missiles or the beam, which you can dodge pretty easily by doing a barrel roll as usual. Although you kind of have to stay on either one side of the screen or the other, because his beam does have a pretty big range to it, and it's really thick, so you can't really dodge through the beam to the other side. At least the missiles are easy to dodge, right? Me and my 1 bar of health. We almost got him. There's bits of him falling off now. Now he has giant shoulder cannons, because no robot is complete without shoulder cannons. Oh, bye Trypticon. Well, looks like we kind of defeated him, for now anyway. We'll have to finish him off on the ground later in the final mission of the Autobot campaign.